This is Robert Kraft, and I'm coming to you live on SNNLive. And we're at the New Orleans Investment Conference 2018. With me right now is Kelly Earle from Skeena Resources. It's a publicly traded company, two symbols for you, SKE on the TSX Venture and SKE.F in the US. Kelly, welcome to SNNLive.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you on. So for our audience, let's start off with an overview of the company and we'll go from there.
Sure. Skeena Resources is an exploration and development stage company. We have two past producing mines in the Golden Triangle of Northwest British Columbia.
So let's get a history of the company. When did it start and how did you develop to where you're currently at today?
So Skeena as a whole has actually been around for about 20 years, but it really refocused in 2015 when our new CEO came on board. He's got an investment banking background. He partnered with our now chairman, Ron Nedolitsky, who's in the Canadian Mining Hall of Fame. He's actually accredited with the discovery of both Snip and Eskay Creek, and they really refocused the company then. It had about $1 million market cap. They shifted focus back to the Golden Triangle because it's an area that our geologists know so well, and restructured everything, and that was really the basis for where we are today.
So let's talk about the project and the resource. Tell me everything there is to know about Skeena's properties.
So we have 3 projects in total. GJ is a copper gold porphyry project on which we have a PEA, but it's not really our focus right now. We're actually looking at possibly spinning it out into a copper-focused company. Our real focus is Snip and Eskay Creek. They're both past-producing mines that produced in the 90s or early 2000s, and they're both world-class mines. So Eskay Creek was the highest-grade gold producer in the world when it was in production, produced 3.3 million ounces at a staggering 45 grams per ton, and 160 million ounces of silver at over 2,000 grams per ton. And Snip was very high grade as well, produced 1.1 million ounces at 27.5 grams. And our thesis for acquiring these projects, which were reclaimed mine, is because when they were in operation, the Golden Triangle was extremely remote. So it was very little infrastructure. They were all diesel powered. It was a fly-in, fly-out operation. And now we've got paved road access, 3 hydroelectric facilities that have been built within the last 5 years that are right in between the projects, only kilometers away or miles away for your American viewers. So because the infrastructure has changed so much, what was not economic in the 90s is now economic because closer to infrastructure, power, and the price of gold is much higher.
So what about your projects that you have in the Golden Triangle are unique when you're looking at some of the competition that's also developing projects in the Golden Triangle?
Well, for starters, we're one of the few companies that actually has a resource in the Golden Triangle. So you'll see a lot of exploration hits. We actually have ounces in the ground. So we just signed an option for Eskay Creek with Barrick in December, and we went through all the data. And we mined the data, if you will, 700,000 ounces. And before we put first drill hole in the ground, we were able to come out with a 1.9 million ounce resource. And it's an extremely high grade resource as well. So the underground portion of the resource is running 10 grams per ton, and the open pit portion is running 5 grams per ton. So it's a pretty respectable, it's extremely respectable grade. And that was before we put the first drill hole in. So I think that makes us pretty unique, that our geologic knowledge of the area allows us to put out resources even before we start drilling.
So you actually alluded to this a little bit earlier in the history, but I wanted to get a full picture as to the team on the ground at the Golden Triangle, at your projects. Do they have experience at looking at similar types of projects in their past experience?
So our chairman, Ron Nedolitsky, as I mentioned, he discovered Snip and Eskay Creek originally. He's the chairman now. He's not so involved in the day-to-day. But actually here with me at the New Orleans conference is our chief geologist, Ron Nichols. He put the first drill hole into Snip. So I really give him a lot of the credit for the discovery. So having that knowledge, that on-the-ground knowledge of the deposit type has been so valuable in terms of exploration drilling. So we've got the geology down, and then in terms of financing, our CEO, Walter Coles, and myself, I help with the financing. Walt's an investment banker by background. He's amazing at raising money. Skeena raised $8.5 million in the spring and another $6.7 million just a few months ago. So we've got a great ability to raise funds, and we've also really taken a team approach. So we've brought on a VP of exploration, Paul Geddes, who left Barkerville to come join Skeena. We've got a VP of sustainability, Justin Himmelwright, who deals with all our First Nations permitting and environmental issues. So having 2 past producing mines, you really need to take a team approach to move them forward, and we've been great at being able to build out that team.
So then from what you can tell us, what are some of the company's value catalysts moving into 2019?
Well, right now we're doing underground drilling at Eskay Creek, and then we'll start metallurgy in the new year. So that'll be a milestone for us, is to be able to show just how much of the gold we could recover at Eskay Creek. Once we're done drilling at Eskay Creek, we're going to go back to Snip. One of the things that makes us unique is because we're underground at Snip drilling, we can drill year-round when most companies can't in the Golden Triangle because there's a lot of snow in that area. So we're going to go back to drilling at Snip and look at some new exploration targets that we have. And then in the new year, we'll be looking at putting out a resource for Snip and also upgrading the resource at Eskay Creek. And the other point I wanted to mention is we were also just did a deal with Hochschild, which is a major mining company in Peru. They made an equity investment into the company for 8%, so we're excited to have brought them on board as well.
And where can our audience go and find more information about Skeena Resources?
Sure, so on our website at skeenaresources.com.
My name is Robert Kraft, and I'm coming to you live on SNNLive. And we're at the New Orleans Investment Conference 2018. With me again is Kelly Earle from Skeena Resources, publicly traded company. The symbols are SKE on the TSX Venture and SKREF in the U.S. Kelly, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you very much.